Hello and welcome back to Ruddle Me This. I am the Ruddler, Taylor Ruddle, your host of the podcast, and this is part 2 of my discussion with Aimée Borlase, a fellow comedian, singer, and actor based here in Christchurch. The conversation follows on pretty much immediately from where the last one left off, so if you want to get the full context, you can always go back, pause this one now, go back and listen to part 1 of the conversation, but otherwise, I'm sure you can just jump right in and enjoy the conversation. So with that, here's part 2 of the conversation. Welcome back to the show, Aimée Borlase. Okay, welcome back to the podcast, Aimée.
Hello.
Lovely to have you back with us in a nondescript future time, and definitely not the same Friday night that we were recording.
We definitely have exciting things to do on a Friday night.
Oh, you know it. Okay, so if you listeners out there would have probably heard part 1 of this. What was the track that we ended the last one on?
It was track number 4, which is called 22.
Okay, and so we've got about 5 to go.
We got more than half to go.
Alrighty. Well, then I'll just let you take it away and bring us into the next track.
Awesome. So this one, I guess, there's less for me to talk about with this one. Track number 5, I could say, is a breakup song. It's a breakup song with, the breakup is the best thing.
Yeah.
Where the breakup feels good. It's about all the things you could, I could say all these. I could say, I'll be there for you, but like, why bother doing that? I actually feel great since we broke up. Which is like, I think this is one of the things I really love about this album is that there's like there's essentially 2 kind of love songs. Like there's 2 like, romantic songs, and none of the rest of it really is about romance.
Yeah.
And I'm not a lovey-dovey romantic person, so but most pop music is about that.
It certainly is. What was that song called? Sorry?
It's called I Could Say.
And so I guess it's just about like a relationship that's kind of run its course. Does it seem to imply that it's mutual in the song?
Yeah, I think it's implied that the breakup is mutual, but that the guy that she was dating was a bit of a dick.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then I'm sure, again, a relatable situation. I feel like that's something very, very new to the conversation is people seem to be more okay with splitting up if it's not the right thing, whereas it feels like maybe 20 years ago, you didn't really hear people talking about, it's almost like, what's the word? Like, I don't want to say apathy is the right word here, but that relationship that's just fine. It's not amazing. Yeah. It's not bad either, but I imagine it was a lot of people's reality. Maybe even today, still a lot of people going through it. But yeah, so any other thoughts on that track?
I just like I think that it's got a really strong opening line for a pop song. I could say, which is, oh gosh, I have to see if I get this right. I could say, I'll always be there for you, but that would be a lie and quite a pointless thing to do.
Yeah.
It's straight in there. It's not, again, it's not super poetic. It's just, It's talky.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a real conversation.
Yeah, it is genuinely how you hear people talk. There seemed like a bit of the tone of her music is fairly upbeat, but I got this sense of like kind of melancholy behind everything. It's this interesting kind of up down mood, I suppose, for the songs.
Yeah, actually, that's a really great segue into the next track.
That's why we do it. Take it away.
Track number 6, Back to the Start, is quite upbeat.
Yeah,
it feels upbeat.
Yeah.
It is lyrically, it's a song about having a really bad relationship with your sister and going, I feel like I've been a real dick. Can we please I'm real sorry. Can we start again? And it is one of those songs that like I think if you don't relate to the song, you would listen to it and be like, okay. Fine.
Yeah.
But if there's any part of you that has ever had a challenging relationship with a sibling, even a tiny bit, like I remember hearing that song and feeling like I have an amazing relationship with my sister. She's one of my best friends. But like there always is when you're growing up and we're very, very different very, very different people.
Mm,
And she's much more socially competent than I am.
right.
And but I
She's
did,
older or younger than you?
she's younger than me.
Oh yeah.
She's 2 years younger. Uh, I did a bit better at school. She was a lot better with friends. Basically, if there was any, mum always said we were like chalk and cheese, and that if there was any kind of decision and there was two options, we would never pick the same
Right.
option. But
Yeah.
we were and continue to be incredibly good friends and incredibly close. And this song where she's saying like, I felt like you were prettier than me, you were taller than me, you had more friends than me. I'm jealous. I treated you really badly, and then I just didn't talk to you. Can you please forgive me, and can we just start again? And my understanding is that this song did do that for them, that they were
Right.
able to repair like quite a bad relationship
Yeah.
through this song, which like all of these songs, it's honest. Like
Yeah.
you can feel that it's real.
Mm. And super relatable as well. How many people have had
Yeah.
tough relationship with their sisters or just
Oh
siblings in
yeah.
general? I saw a tweet or it was a screenshot of a phone conversation that just said this is what it's like being sisters, and it was two sisters in all capitals yelling at each other, don't take my top, and the other one says, well, you always take my fucking lipstick or something, and then there was like another text underneath just said, do you want to go to the movies tonight? And then another one saying
Yeah.
yes.
It is exactly it. Like it is it. It's absolutely what it is like to be sisters.
My younger brother and I would never quite that at each other, but yeah, that I just saw that thing and I went, yeah, that's what it's like with siblings.
I think that's a good thing. It's good when you have someone in your life that you can be that honest about how mad you are, but also be like, yeah, but we're good for Saturday, right? Like,
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Because you can't exactly like they're going to be around sort of thing. So like especially
yeah,
when you're growing up as well, like unless one of you moves out or something, you sort of have to feel like there's a kind of like begrudging, like, all right, well, we need to make this work, even if we're
yeah,
super angry at each other. Like my younger brother and I used to have to share a bedroom, and we'd fight like all the time. Just I think we just needed like space, and as soon as we got our own rooms,
yeah,
we're all good, and we're very close now. But yeah, siblings is an interesting one. I do like the way you said that you could be you could be angry at them, um, but like yeah, you still have to make it work with them.
yeah, absolutely.
Any other thoughts on that track?
I think I just like I think it just the it's really is the lyrics. Like the lyrics really hit. They really hit because even if like I love my sister, but like I know that I've been jealous of her and she's I assume been jealous of me at some
Yeah,
point
of course.
over something.
Yeah,
And I think that because you can really feel in the core of this song that that's been their problem. So
yeah.
it feels personal. I haven't like I like I said, I have a great relationship with my sister,
Hmm.
but it's that core of it where you're like, oh yeah, I can feel that that's the thing.
Was Lily Allen known for being particularly sort of like glamorous or beautiful? Was that not really her kind of aesthetic for lack of a better word,
Not, I
excuse
mean,
me?
to be honest, like I think if you look back on her stuff, you might it would be easy to think that way, but I don't
She
think
probably
so.
didn't
I
feel it.
no, and I think she was more of a she was wearing kind of quirky indie girl outfits
Mm-hmm.
of the time.
Mm.
And she was really known for like in the media, she was known for drinking pints and doing coke in
Yeah,
clubs. Like
yeah.
um
Because that was one thing
yeah,
that did stand out to me about her lyrics and the kind of theme of the music is that idea of the council estate in the UK. It was very like because
yeah,
she mentioned Tesco in one of her lyrics,
yeah,
and it feels very working class, I think. And that whole kind of like, doing eckies at a garage rave, sort of, wearing some fairy wings and a tutu, kind of like
yeah.
that was the vibe I got from
That
her music.
like absolutely, absolutely. And I think when we get down to like some of the later tracks on the album, I think
Hmm.
you really see. I mean, actually, that I'll touch on the next one, which is track seven, "Never Gonna Happen," which
Hmm.
is like not my favorite song at all on it, but it's funny. It's
Yeah.
really I guess none of them are delicate.
Yeah.
The lyrics aren't delicate. It's very working class. This is Never Gonna Happen is basically a song where she's kind of fucking around with this guy.
Uh-huh.
He is obviously actually interested in her.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I've made it really clear I don't want anything serious. But like, I
Oh.
am going to call you on a Saturday at like 1 a.m. And you can't have that, think that it means
Of
anything.
course, yeah.
She's like very much the villain of the song.
That's
I
cool. I like
assume,
that.
yeah. And like, because all of her songs are so honest, I have to assume that she has done this to someone. There's some poor
Probably
guy who really liked her and she's just been like, look, clearly using you. Like,
right. Right.
she's definitely like not the hero
But I like
almost
that. I
ever.
think that's kind of honest, you know what I mean? Like I think we have to be lying to
Yeah.
ourselves if we think we've never been the villain in any situation before. I mean, maybe there's people that are universally good, but I feel like most people have been the villain at some point.
Yeah. And I think because she's the songs are honest, she's the villain in some of them, if not almost all of them. Um, and they are like really political
Yeah.
right from the start. I mean, even the first track that I didn't really touch on it much, where she's talking about people using street drugs and
Yeah.
as on top of prescribed drugs and using that to cope.
Yeah.
Um, track 8, which is probably the most famous song on the album, which is "Fuck You,"
Yep. I remember that one.
is just it's pure politics. It's not
Right.
like the fear is a really political song, but it feels like a person talking about their experience in the oppressive system.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, it's "Fuck You."
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is so joyful sounding.
Yeah.
It's a 14-year-old song.
Hmm.
Lily Allen sang it with Olivia Rodrigo last year.
Really?
Uh,
That's cool.
yep. They overturned Roe v. Wade in
Oh,
the
yeah.
States.
Yeah. Yeah.
My friend Jasmine Tees does a burlesque routine. Jasmine is an amazing.
Oh, yeah. I've
She's
met
like
Jasmine. I met her at the
the
Fringe.
mama of burlesque. She's
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing.
No, Jasmine's
She has
great.
a routine, like a very awesome feminist routine that incorporates this song.
Yeah.
But like, and it feels like you could have released it yesterday.
Mm.
It's essential. It's Bush era. Like it's George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Like that's so long ago. I barely remember it.
And that's just
And it's a song where she's like, actually, just go fuck yourself. Like, can you
right.
please stop being homophobic and
Yeah.
bigoted and sexist and racist?
Yeah.
Like, that's not much to ask.
Yeah.
Stop.
Isn't it wild that the Bush administration was like for a lot of at the time we thought it was as bad as it could get.
God.
You listen to any Green Day from that kind of period and you sort of go, wow, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because I wasn't super cognizant when I do remember Bush being president, but not to the point where I would have known about any socioeconomic or like any kind of thing happening. But I had a coworker that said the Bush administration was terrible for America, but great for punk music. So I guess
Yeah.
Lily Allen maybe you could sort of Venn diagram her into that. That
I mean, yeah. I mean, it is kind of in that sense, it's a really punk album. If you're
yeah.
talking about like being a like really left wing political album,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
actually
yeah,
ironically super punk.
yeah. She's got the pink outfit. That's fairly. I see that in a lot of punk. So yeah, I was going to say as well. Do you know if the song gets played uncensored on the radio here?
I've never heard it uncensored. I've heard the version where it goes Q Q very very much. Like
Yeah, I feel like I've
they
heard that
leave
one
out the
too.
fa.
Yeah, I heard the version I listened to when I was listening to the album had like those old like awuga horns and like balloons popping and like
Oh yeah.
yes, all that sort of thing over the top of it. Um, Fascinating song when it comes to that whole idea of like radio play and censorship.
Yeah.
I remember it was a big deal in New Zealand when they played Rage Against the Machine's Killing in the Name of Uncensored on the radio, and they got like John Key to like announce it when it was happening, and just yeah, like the whole swearing on the radio thing's fascinating. Obviously, it didn't hurt the song though, because I mean, like that's
No.
that was like the main song that I knew of hers.
Yeah.
before listening to the album. Yeah.
And it feels so joyful.
Yeah, it
Like
is, isn't it?
it's and the like the melody and the like it's so fun to sing
Yeah,
because you
you
are
can really lean into it.
yelling. You really lean into it, but it's like also so pretty. Like
Mm.
it's like that fuck you, thank you very, very much.
Yeah,
It's so fun. It's so
she
fun
puts a
to
bit of
sing.
flourish onto it, hey.
Yeah.
I suppose that's a big theme of hers is that like it's very upbeat music for the most part. If you didn't know the lyrics, you might assume it was pretty
Yeah.
happy. But yeah, has she released
I
anything
mean,
since this album?
yes, she has a fair bit.
Really?
I think the one that probably did the best would have been Jesus,
Hmm.
which was still ages ago.
Yeah.
And that was I'm trying to place it in a timeline. It was in response to Kanye calling himself Jesus.
Jeez. Yep.
So it was around
Around there.
then.
Yep. Yep. Whatever that
Um,
was.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Yeah, it was the name of the album.
Uh-huh.
When was
Yeah.
that? 2014. So I mean, still, it
Yeah.
feels recent to me, but it was not recent
I know,
at
right?
all.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then No Shame in 2018, and I think that was it. But I mean,
Right.
Jesus was like, oh yeah, there's like a song about internet trolls and
Wow.
hard out here, which is hard out here for a bitch is the full lyric. Um,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The what was I gonna say? Uh, apart from the "fuck you" song, is there a lot of cuss words in her lyrics?
Yeah,
Ah, there
yeah.
you go. Well, again, that's how people
Um,
talk. So
yeah, yeah. It is. It's very working class.
yeah,
Um, which is a ridiculous thing to say in a lot of ways because like everyone swears, but it's that like
yes,
level of acceptability.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That's one thing I found a little bit odd about stand up in New Zealand is people are weird about swearing, comedians swearing. Yeah,
Yeah.
we could get into a whole other thing about that. I don't know what else we can really say about this song. It's like it's pretty much a flagship song, isn't it?
Yeah, it's iconic.
Mm,
Which is I mean, I love the lyrics of all of her songs, but I think what's great about this one is that it feels like anybody could have written it, but at the same time, only Lily Allen could have
hmm.
written it.
Yeah,
Like when you've got lyrics that are just like, "You're just some racist that can't tie my laces." Like
yeah.
that's not a great lyric,
But I think
but like it does what it needs to do.
yeah, I guess it's like that expression of you use the level of vocabulary depending on your audience. And for somebody like Lily
Yeah,
Allen, she's going for the highest common denominator of just the most people that are likely to understand what she's saying. So
yeah,
nothing wrong with going simple with your lyrics.
absolutely. But
Sure.
also, I think there's something really cool about a song where you're just like, uh, I'm addressing this to all the far right bigots, and I'm just saying I think you're evil,
Yeah.
and it is actually that simple. I just
Yeah.
think you're some bigoted, evil guy that needs to get over yourself
Mm,
and have
yeah.
that just be the lyrics. There's no subtext.
No. Yeah. Not a lot of subtext in Lily Allen, but that's nothing wrong with
Well,
that.
I'd argue there is a lot of subtext in some of them, but
Right.
there is no subtext in fuck you. It's
Yeah.
all just text.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's good to have that kind of range too, because I mean, why do music if it's not fun, right? Like
Yeah.
you might as well have your lyrical masterpieces and then something simple like that, right?
Yeah,
Range.
and it's just so iconic.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
iconic.
Has it been
Um,
used in any kind of like cinema or TV or anything? Like I would be surprised if it wasn't in a movie scene or something like that, you know?
I don't know. I've seen it used live a decent amount,
Yeah.
but I don't think I've seen it like yeah, I don't think I've seen it cinematically.
Yeah, I have to look that up later on. I'm sure it's been
Yeah,
done somewhere. Something Lily
probably.
Allen for sure.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to the next track?
Yeah. So
What was that
we got
one?
the next two tracks 9 and 10 are Who'd Have Known and Chinese. So they're both the two like love songs on
Yeah.
the album.
Yeah.
Who'd Have Known is just about like being around someone, and then you're like, oh, we kind of are we a thing? Yeah, I think we are a thing.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the song, he accidentally calls her baby, and she's like, yeah, like your friends know that we're a thing, so I
Ah.
think we are. And it's very like it's just really real.
Yeah.
Like it's a relationship that I think everyone is familiar with, where you're like you kind of fall into it, and then you're like, oh, I think yeah, I think we're a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what I think is unique about her. It's like every single song is a different situation, but they are all like just when I think she's run out of things to make a song about, it's like, oh yeah, that's the perfect subject matter for a song.
Yeah, you're right. They are actually. They're all. It's not like I guess like Adele's albums that are kind of all about one relationship.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
whole album is like one. It's probably all the songs are written to one person.
yeah, yeah.
These are all. I mean, I think that all clearly have the same voice,
Yeah,
but the situations they're addressing are all different.
absolutely, yeah.
And then Chinese is, I think, I mean, like I said, I'm not a romantic person, and I think this is why this is one of my favorite romantic songs.
Uh-huh.
This is a song that is about, it's like she's touring or she's traveling, and all she wants to do is just come home. The chorus goes, "You'll make me." Well, I think it's a bridge actually. "You'll make me beans on toast and a nice cup of tea, and we'll get a Chinese and watch TV."
Yeah,
And like I'm like, that is just like peak, like that's relationship goals to me. Is
yeah,
just it's like we'll walk the dogs and I'll probably have a little sleep, and like, we'll get a takeaway, and we'll watch a
yeah,
movie or something.
yeah,
And it's like and it's that, I guess it's kind of that thing of it feels working class, except for the part where she's like, I'm traveling all the time.
yeah.
But it's like it's achievable goals.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a song by a country western singer called Russell Dickerson, and the song's called Low Key, and it's exactly the same kind of subject matter of like we could go out, we could pay $50 for parking, and then the coat check fee, and then
Mm.
stand around and drink like a $40 cocktail, or we could just put a movie on the TV and order some food from the Chinese place down the street. And like I'm honestly surprised that more songs aren't coming out like this, given that
Yeah.
it seems like the sort of uh, how do I explain this without sounding weird? But like, I feel like our generation and the next one, the Zoomers, are sort of like things like fast food and takeaways and stuff like that are almost kind of like you remember when your parents used to kind of frown on them and that sort of thing, but we
Yeah.
we kind of grew up on them, so
Oh
it's
yeah.
a comfortable like yeah, like a home comfort sort of thing. And I'm really curious to see because have you seen on TikTok couples will do these dates where they go to like uh what's yeah, Target, I think, is the American equivalent
Oh
of like
yeah.
Kmart here.
Yeah.
And they'll do like a paper, scissors, rock, and whoever wins gets to choose like their activity, and they'll go to the like game section and pick up a board game or something, and then they'll do like dinner and drinks and snacks and all that kind of thing. And yeah, I'm kind of surprised there's not more songs with these like very achievable like date
Yeah.
dreams and stuff.
Yeah, because I think there's so many love songs that are about like the biggest moment,
Yeah.
but I guess it's kind of like what we were talking about last time with 22, where we were talking about like how actually living your life every day is the thing that you need to
Yeah.
be appreciating.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing in both of these, in both Who'd Have Known and Chinese. It's just about like the little things, every
hmm
little everyday things that confirm
Yeah.
that you're just happy to be around each other.
Yeah, I've noticed that in the past when like dating women, they're like ever so appreciative of me just being like taking the initiative and booking reservations at a place. Or do you know what I mean? Like just these weird little details like the bar is low. Don't get me wrong, I'm aware that the bar is on the ground.
Yeah, the
But
bar is very low.
I feel like I've like people are happier to hear that than some of these big grand gestures like the rom-coms
Yeah.
would have you have you believe.
I think because they're not performative as well. Like
Yeah.
so much of those big gestures are about the show and about the like. it's meant to be about the thought, but it's actually more about the show.
Hmm.
And I think the small things where, and this, I mean, the lyrics where she's just like, I think that as someone, I mean, it's very English. Like I'm English. I was born in England. I've
It
lived
is,
here for
isn't
a
it?
long time, but it's very English to be like, the thing that I really want after a really long flight and a whole bunch of travel is beans on toast and a
Yeah.
cup of tea. Oh
Yeah.
my word, what a treat.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a someone had posted like a sort of traditional I think it was like mince on toast with some carrots or something like that. It was like a traditional kind of English dinner or something. And someone commented that a lot of England still eats like the Germans are flying overhead, but it's
Oh,
like like
absolutely.
what's wrong with that? Like if it's good
Why
enough
do
for
you
war,
eat like you're still at war?
yeah, exactly. Like if it's good enough for wartime, it's good enough for peacetime. I still remember that reading diaries of this is a very like middle-aged man thing of me to do, but reading about World War II. But I remember reading a diary from an American soldier talking about how like the rations that the British soldiers had, like you wouldn't feed them to your dog kind of thing. And like yeah, so um but like yeah, beans on toast is like it's great. There's nothing wrong with it.
It is. Yeah, and that's the thought. Like that's the thing that you really want. Like you don't you if you've just done you've got a long haul flight or whatever, the last thing you want is a big grand gesture or a night out or a it's the
Yeah.
thought, it's the being taken care of, really, isn't it?
True, yeah, it's very like, yeah, I don't need to add to that. You nailed it there. Any other thoughts on that track?
No, I think they're just nice.
Yeah.
They're just nice songs. They are like they are a cup of tea of a song, I think, both of them.
Mm, yeah.
So I'm on the kind of last of my favorite tracks because
Hmm.
I the first and the last are just, meh.
Not super meaningful to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last one, number 11 is called Him. And it just occurred to me now that that might be a pun,
Oh yeah.
as in it's HIM, but also HYMN, I think,
Oh yeah.
because a
Yeah, could
hymn
be.
is a song addressed to God, and this is a song about God. This is like
Oh.
our generation's "What if God was one of us?"
Now that I
Um,
know that's about God, it changes. Yeah. Uh, I'll let you keep talking about
I'm so interested in where that thought was. It's I mean the chorus of the song is. I mean, like, of course, it's post 9/11 times. Ever
Yeah.
since he can remember, people have died in his good name. Um, he's lost the will. He can't decide. He doesn't know who's right or wrong. But there's one thing that he's sure of. This has been going on too long. So, like, again, just pure politics, pure
Yeah.
politics again.
Yeah.
But like also, I think it kind of is everything that we've covered, in that it is a very working class English way of thinking about God.
Yeah.
And it's not about like a particular, it's not talking about a Christian God. It's sort of saying, if there is this guy, this God person,
Yeah.
what would he be like?
Yeah.
And like who would he vote for? And do you think he's kind of sick of us?
Ah.
Do you think he's kind of a bit over what we've been up to?
Yeah, yeah. These are themes that a lot of other singers and songwriters have explored as well. I mean, even that line from Fight Club comes to mind where he said, like, you might have to accept that if God is real, he simply doesn't like you. And
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing that our whole relation, like the humanity as a whole, and then our relationship to God is, it's an interesting one because that theme of like, if he was real, then how come he's not like looking after us comes up a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've taken philosophy 101. um, yeah, if you ever want to hear like those questions come up, just take like a level one philosophy
Oh,
course
okay.
at
Yeah.
Canterbury University because
Right.
everybody's like, well, actually, I have a question.
Yeah, yeah. And it's all
um,
just that.
but yeah, and it's all just that. I mean, lyrically, this is. I mean, musically, it feels a little bit sadder than some of the
Yeah, that's
other
the vibe I got.
songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, lyrically, really great rhymes. Do you think his favorite type of human is Caucasian? Do you reckon he's ever been done for tax evasion?
That was a good one. I do remember that one.
Um, so, and it's just it feels like someone in their 20s being like, I feel like I am young and I'm looking around and I think that you're all wrong,
Yeah.
which is I think a familiar feeling for people like when you reach adulthood,
Hmm.
you get reach that first point of adulthood in your early 20s and you're allowed to think for yourself for the
Hmm.
first time and you're like, what are we doing?
Oh, so the kind of realization that like really none of us actually have it together, but we assumed it.
No, and
No?
no, well, I guess it's that. It's like I don't know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
but also very strongly, what the fuck are you doing?
Right, right, right. And
It's a
then
very like, yeah, it's a really sad song, actually.
yeah,
I think
very
that's probably why
melancholy.
she ends it with this like kind of positive spin on getting to know her dad after not having him in her life for a while.
Yeah. That yeah, the last one was a bit odd because the message that I took from it was sort of like she said something about she gave him space and then she was kind of glad for it because then their relationship improved or something. But I just
Yeah.
kind of thought like that's weird. Like he
Yeah,
left.
it's
Like
I think that's one of those songs where I think that song is for her. It's not
exactly,
for
yeah.
us.
Yeah, exactly. Like if it helps her process it better, then
Yeah,
power to you, Lily.
sure.
So we are
And
sort of
that's
coming up.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's the album.
Any kind of
That's it. That's
closing
the
thoughts
12
on the
tracks.
last?
I guess I think that this album for me, it's it's lyrically dense, which is incredible because there's a lot of like vocal ad lib la 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 in it. So to be
Oh,
lyrically
okay.
dense, allowing for lots of la la las,
Yeah.
it's really fun to listen to.
Mm,
It
yeah.
is real quite brain hurty once you really listen to the lyrics.
Yeah.
And I think for me, this album is really ties into my all of the art that I do in
Yeah.
that uh, I love writing good lyrics. I like writing fun melodies. The irony of a melody and incongruent lyrics is like one of my favorite
Mm,
things.
yeah.
And I think that Lily Allen is an artist with a really strong artistic voice. And I think that's how she was able to do so well, even though she's not a really strong singer or even particularly a strong musician.
Yeah. She's definitely got the whole character like she is a character. Do you know what I mean? Like she has
Yeah,
a
yeah,
super unique sound, which evidently it can carry you pretty well.
yeah.
Are there any like would you say there are any super direct things that you've kind of not necessarily emulated, but elements of what Lily does? Because I would say from what I've seen of your stand-up, it is very the tone is very positive, but there are some darker themes that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
I
that
think this is, yeah, this is a really influential voice for me, I
yeah.
think. And I grew up in a lefty house,
Uh-huh.
but this is a very lefty album, which is like it's not often that you get a pop album that's so political
Hmm.
now. Even like we have them, but this is super, super political.
Yeah.
And my stand up is pretty left, pretty left leaning. And I think when I come back to these, this music in particular, this album in particular, and also her first album, I guess what I see is someone who was not actually she was a singer, but she wasn't full of musical training. She didn't have a bunch of songwriting training. She wasn't. The lyrics don't feel like that someone's trying too hard, and I think that's the thing that I take away, and that's the thing that I try to do. I'm not very good at it. I'm very, very good at trying way too hard. I'm always trying to pull back, but that kind of ability to let go and try to be honest rather than clever,
Yeah,
because you can
yeah,
still end up being clever through that honesty if you
yeah.
put the honesty first.
I think people can feel when something has heart as well, and there's a lack of there's zero pretentiousness in
Yeah.
what she does.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think people gravitate towards that, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Well, this has been really good. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for giving up your time to do this podcast, and it's ended up
Doesn't
in.
feel like a sacrifice.
Well, that's great. Yeah, we'll kind of wrap it up there, but maybe we could do another one about the Muppets in full if you're feeling up to it at some point. But
Oh,
yeah, no, I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me.
oh, thank you.
And we are back again. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of that conversation. Once again, as I said at the end of the first one, I was a little concerned about my ability to contribute to the conversation, but I think I did okay. Obviously, Aimée had most of the facts and most of the information, and I did my best to comment on and follow along. And I think it ended up being quite a good conversation. Hope you enjoyed that listen. It was a lot of fun for me to have. As we stated in the part 1, it was a Friday evening when we recorded this, so that should give you an idea of Aimée and I's social life. But it was a great way to spend a Friday evening, and I have no regrets. We'll probably bring Aimée back to talk about the Muppets at another day. But if you would like to follow Aimée on the social media, you can find her on all of the social networks at Aimée Borlase. She managed to get the same handle for each one, which very good job. And she left me instructions. Check out the Facebook for events and news, the Instagram for memes and reels, and the YouTube for a biannual vlog or hair styling video, excuse me, it's getting late. Which she says, is that twice a year or once every 2 years? The answer is yes. If you need help spelling that, Aimée Borlase, Aimée Borlase. I'll leave all the links down in the show notes. Definitely go check those out if you would like to see more of Aimée. As always, you can find me on all the socials at Taylor Ruddle Comedy. I still have no idea if I have decided to bite the bullet and get onto Thread at this point, as this episode is going to be releasing some weeks into the future. So I might be on Thread, I might not. Go to my Instagram and find out if I am. And place your bets in the comments to see if you think I did or I didn't. As always, heaps of gigs on. Austin Club on the 1st and 3rd Thursdays of the month, 7 p.m. Definitely come check it out. The venue, I had a long conversation with the manager of that venue today. They are super stoked to have us doing stand-up, and they're making us feel super welcome. They want us to be completely integrated into their little system, so I'm really looking forward. I'm feeling really optimistic about the future of that gig. It's in a cozy little spot on the end of High Street. And just in general, that whole area is of huge sentimental value to me, as my high school, which is, at the time it was known as Unlimited Paenga Tawhiti, was 30-second walk from the entrance to the Austin Club. And then the first room that I started helping run was called Kensington Funhouse. It was on Manchester Street, which again, from the Austin Club, is about a 2-minute walk. It's now been rebranded as Bar 145, I think it's called 185, something like that. And it's like a sports bar. It used to be called the Kensington Funhouse. I got so much experience and so much stage time there, and it was just a really special time of my comedy career. So you can imagine I'm really stoked to be back in the Austin Club. That whole area is just full of nostalgia for me, and I would love for you to join us in the Laugh Cellar and have a few giggles. So once again, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your time, and we'll check in with you next time. Until then, Ruddler out.